The star map showed Earth as a gray dot. In the records of the Galactic Council, it had one word next to it: dead. 300 years had passed since anyone heard from the humans. 300 years since the gamma ray burst tore through their solar system. The burst had lasted only seconds, but those seconds had killed everything. Or so everyone believed. The council meeting room was full that day. Representatives from 40 different species sat in their assigned seats. They were there to discuss property rights. Earth's solar system was now available for colonization. The humans were gone, so someone else could have it. Commander Zix of the Zenthari Collective stood at the center platform. His forearms moved in elegant patterns as he spoke. The Zenthari were an old species, patient and methodical. They looked like insects but thought like accountants. The Sol system offers unique opportunities, Zix said. His voice clicked and hummed through the translator. The third planet, though damaged, can be restored. We are willing to pay 50 million credits for exclusive rights. Other species made their offers too, but the Zenthari offered the most. They always did. Within an hour, Earth belonged to them. 6 months later, the Zenthari fleet arrived at Earth. 12 massive colony ships, each carrying 10,000 settlers. 50 smaller vessels for support and defense. It was a standard colonization force. Commander Zix stood on the bridge of the lead ship. Before him, Earth rotated slowly on the viewing screen. It looked different from the old photographs. The clouds were thicker, the oceans darker. Several large land masses showed scarring from the radiation burst. Scan for life signs, Zix ordered. The sensor officer worked at her console. Her mandibles clicked nervously. After a moment, she looked up. Commander, this cannot be correct. Report. I am detecting organized electromagnetic signals. Radio waves. Power signatures consistent with active civilization. Zix felt his heart skip a beat. That was impossible. The burst should have sterilized the planet. Automated systems, he decided. The humans built well. Some of their machines must still function. Then the communication console beeped. An incoming transmission. The bridge went silent. The communications officer played the message. A voice spoke in perfect Zenthari language. Zenthari vessels, this is Earth Defense Command. You are in violation of sovereign human territory. You have 30 minutes to change course and leave the system. If you do not comply, you will be fired upon. Zix stared at the speaker. Around him, his crew exchanged confused looks. Respond, Zix ordered. Tell them we have legal claim to this system. The Galactic Council authorized our colonization. The communications officer sent the message. The reply came back immediately. We recognize no authority over our home system. Leave now. This is your final warning. Zix made his decision. This had to be an automated system. Some clever human programming that survived the centuries. Real humans could not have survived. It was scientifically impossible. Ignore it, he said. Continue to landing coordinates. We will establish our colony in the southern continent, where the old human city of Rio de Janeiro once stood. 3 survey ships detached from the main fleet. They descended toward Earth. The old Amazon region was their target. The jungle had changed, grown denser and stranger, but it would be perfect for Zenthari terraforming. The ships landed in a clearing. The Zenthari survey teams emerged in protective suits. They began taking samples of soil and air, setting up equipment, making plans. Then one of the surveyors noticed something. Structures in the jungle, not ruins, new construction. Buildings that seemed to grow from the earth itself, organic and strange. Commander Zix, the surveyor transmitted. We have found something. There are structures here. They appear to be inhabited. Before Zix could respond, figures emerged from the jungle. They moved fast, too fast. The Zenthari barely had time to raise their weapons. The figures wore armor that seemed alive. It moved with them, adapted to them. Their weapons were unlike anything in Council records. Energy and biology mixed together in ways that should not work. The fight lasted 3 minutes. When it was over, 2 Zenthari were dead, 5 were wounded. The rest retreated to their ships and took off. Back on the command ship, Zix reviewed the combat footage. He watched it 3 times. Each time his confusion grew. Those had been humans. The body structure was unmistakable, but they were different, faster, stronger. Their equipment was beyond anything humans should have. One of his officers spoke quietly. Commander, should we contact the Council? Zix wanted to say no, wanted to deny what he had seen. But he was not stupid. Yes, he said finally. Tell them humanity is not dead. And tell them we may have made a terrible mistake. The news reached the Galactic Council within hours. Living humans on Earth. It seemed impossible, but the evidence was clear. The council chambers filled quickly. Representatives arrived from across known space. Everyone wanted to know the truth. How had humanity survived? Ambassador Kier represented the Vexian Confederacy. Her species looked like large reptiles with intelligent eyes. The Vexians were diplomats, mediators, peacekeepers. They had helped write most of the council's laws. Kier reviewed the old human files. 300 years ago, humans had been classified as Category 3. They had space travel, basic weapons, simple computers, nothing special. Dozens of species in the galaxy were more advanced. But the footage from the Xanthari encounter showed something different. Those weapons were sophisticated. That armor was beyond Category 3 technology. We must send a diplomatic mission, Kier announced to the council. We need to understand what happened. And we need to negotiate. Some council members disagreed. The Xanthari demanded compensation. They had spent millions on colonization rights. Other species worried about the legal implications. Could the dead reclaim property? But Kier's voice carried weight. The council voted. A delegation would go to Earth. 2 weeks later, Kier's ship entered the Sol system. It was a diplomatic vessel, unarmed, broadcasting peace signals on all frequencies. The response came immediately. Ambassador Kier, this is Earth Defense Command. We grant you permission to approach. Landing coordinates are being transmitted. Welcome to Earth. The voice was calm, professional, and definitely human. Kier's ship descended through thick clouds. When they broke through, she saw the landing site. A massive complex built into the side of a mountain. The architecture was strange. It looked grown rather than constructed. Organic curves mixed with clearly technological elements. The ship landed on a platform. Kier and her small team emerged. The air was breathable but felt different. Richer somehow, a human waited for them. She was tall, with dark hair and sharp eyes. She wore a uniform that seemed to shift colors slightly in the light. Ambassador Kier, the woman said, I am Commander Sarah Chen. Welcome to New Geneva. Kier studied Chen carefully. The human looked normal at first glance, but there was something in her movements. Too fluid, too precise. Thank you for receiving us, Commander. The Council has many questions. I am sure they do. Please follow me. Chen led them into the complex. The interior was vast. Corridors curved in unexpected ways. The walls pulsed with soft bioluminescence. Technology and biology merged everywhere Kier looked. They entered a large meeting room. Through massive windows, Kier could see a city below. Thousands of buildings, all with that same organic technological design. Millions of humans going about their lives. How is this possible? Kier asked quietly. Chen smiled. It was not a happy expression. You want to know how we survived. The truth is simple, Ambassador. We adapted. Chen activated a holographic display. Images appeared in the air between them. When the gamma ray burst hit, it destroyed our atmosphere. Killed billions in days. The radiation was everywhere. Our technology failed. Our crops died. Our animals died. The images showed devastation. Cities in ruins. Continents scorched black. Only 2 million humans survived. We were in deep shelters. Underground facilities. But we could not stay there forever. We had to return to the surface eventually. New images appeared. Humans in protective suits. Children growing up in metal tubes. Scientists working frantically. The planet was toxic. The radiation would kill us in hours. We had no way to fix the atmosphere. No way to cleanse the soil. We were trapped. Kier felt a chill. She understood what was coming. So you changed yourselves, she said. Yes, we had no choice. We could not change the planet fast enough. So we changed ourselves to survive it. Chen touched a panel on her wrist. The uniform sleeve pulled back. Her skin looked normal, but then it changed. Patterns appeared like circuitry under the flesh. We mastered genetic modification, rapid evolution, bioengineering. Every human alive today has been enhanced. We can process radiation, breathe thin air, survive extreme temperatures. Kier's team exchanged worried glances. This level of self-modification violated several council laws. You understand what you have done? Kier asked carefully. The council has strict bioethics protocols. Chen's expression hardened. We were never asked to sign your protocols, Ambassador. When the burst happened, the galaxy left us to die. No one came to help. No one even checked if anyone survived. The Council believed you were extinct. And so they sold our home, our entire solar system, auctioned it off like furniture from a dead person's house. Kier could not argue with that. It was exactly what had happened. Commander Chen, I understand your anger, but the galaxy has rules, systems of law. You cannot simply ignore them. Chen walked to the window. She looked out at her city. For 300 years we were alone. We fought to survive every single day. We lost everything. Our old world, our old civilization, millions of our people. She turned back to Kier. But we are still here. We rebuilt. We adapted. And now the galaxy wants us to follow rules we never agreed to. Wants us to accept that someone else owns our home. What do you want? Kier asked. Recognition. The Sol system belongs to humanity. Always has. Always will. We want the Council to acknowledge that. And if they refuse, Chen's eyes were cold. Then we will defend our home. With everything we have. Ambassador Kier returned to Council space with troubling news. The emergency session began within days. The Council chambers buzzed with worried voices. 40 species all talking at once. Kier waited for silence, then presented her report. Humanity has survived through extensive genetic modification. They have altered themselves at a fundamental level. Their technology now combines biology and machinery in ways we have never seen. Commander Zix of the Zenthari stood immediately. They attacked my people. We have legal rights to that system. The Council must enforce the law. Other voices joined in. The Zenthari had paid millions. Other species had similar claims pending. What about the contracts? What about the law? But then another voice cut through the noise. Deep and rumbling. General Krokar of the Krogar Empire. The Krogar were warriors. Their empire controlled 30 systems through military might. They respected only strength. The legal argument is secondary, Krokar said. The real problem is what these humans have become. Self-modification on this scale is dangerous. It violates the genetic accord of the Third Age. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The genetic accord had been written after the Plague Wars 2,000 years ago. A species had tried to enhance itself into a master race. The result had been catastrophic. These humans must be contained, Krokar continued, before they become a threat to all of us. Kier stood again. They were dying. They did what they had to do to survive. That is not the same as conquest or aggression. It does not matter why they did it, Krokar replied, only that they did. They are now a modified species with advanced weapons. That makes them dangerous. The debate raged for hours. Finally, the Council voted. The humans must submit to Council authority. They must allow inspections. They must agree to genetic restrictions. The message was sent to Earth. The response came back within an hour. One word. No. On Earth, Sarah Chen stood in the war room. Around her, military commanders reviewed defensive positions. Scientists analyzed Council ship designs. Engineers prepared new weapons. 300 years of isolation had not been wasted. Humanity had watched, learned, prepared. Chen activated the communication system. Her message went out on all channels to every species in Council space. This is Commander Sarah Chen of Earth. The Galactic Council has demanded our submission. They want us to accept foreign authority over our home. They want to inspect us, restrict us, control us. She paused, letting her words sink in. We refuse. Humanity claims no territory beyond our solar system. We want no part of your wars or politics. But Sol is ours. Earth is ours. And we will defend it. New images appeared on the display. Human ships unlike anything seen before. They looked organic, as if grown rather than built. Weapons that blended energy and biology. For 300 years we watched you. We know about the Zenthari slave colonies, the Krogar expansion wars, the trade disputes and territorial conflicts. We see what your civilization is. Chen looked directly into the camera. Leave us alone and we will leave you alone. But if you come for Earth, you will learn exactly what 300 years of survival has taught us. The message ended. Across the galaxy, leaders watched in stunned silence. General Krokar saw it as a challenge. Within days, he began assembling a battle fleet, 200 warships. The largest fleet the Krogar had launched in 50 years. Other species contributed ships too. The Zenthari wanted revenge. Smaller species feared being seen as weak, Kier protested. She argued for diplomacy. But she was outvoted. The fleet would go to Earth. If the humans refused to submit peacefully, they would be forced to submit. The fleet took 3 weeks to assemble, 3 weeks for Earth to prepare. When the Council fleet finally entered the Sol system, they expected to overwhelm the humans with numbers. 200 ships against whatever primitive defense Earth could manage. But as they approached Mars, something happened. Space around them erupted with activity. Human ships appeared from nowhere, small and fast. They attacked from all directions at once. The battle began. The Council fleet fired conventional weapons, energy beams and kinetic projectiles, but the human ships moved like living things. They dodged. They adapted. Their shields changed properties mid-battle, adjusting to whatever hit them. Then the humans fired back. Their weapons were horrifying. Viral agents that ate through ship hulls, neural disruptors that drove crews mad, nanotech swarms that dismantled vessels from the inside. General Krokar watched from his flagship as his fleet began to fall apart. The humans were not fighting fair. They used tactics he had never seen, weapons that should not exist. 50 ships destroyed in the first hour, 100 within 3 hours. Krokar ordered a retreat, but it was too late. The human ships surrounded them. There was no escape. Then Sarah Chen appeared on every screen in the fleet. "We are giving you one chance," she said. "Leave now. Take your surviving ships and go. Tell the Council what happened here." Krokar wanted to refuse, wanted to fight to the last ship. But he was not stupid. He had lost. The surviving ships retreated. 100 vessels escaped. 100 others were destroyed or disabled. As Krokar fled toward Council space, he realized something. The humans could have destroyed them all, could have wiped out every ship, but they had chosen mercy. That frightened him more than anything else. The news of the battle spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Humanity had defeated a Council fleet. The supposedly primitive humans had won. On Earth, the victory celebrations were brief. Sarah Chen stood in a hospital overlooking the reconstruction zones. The battle had cost humanity dearly. Millions had died. Not in space, but on Earth. The Krogar had managed to bombard several cities before being stopped. New Tokyo was gone. Parts of New Geneva were destroyed. Agricultural centers had been hit. Chen watched medical teams working. The wounded were everywhere. Children without parents, parents without children. A young doctor approached her. His name was Marcus. He looked exhausted. "Commander, the casualty count is final. 3,200,000 dead. Another 5 million injured." Chen closed her eyes. 3 million. In a population of 50 million, that was devastating. "How many will recover?" she asked. "Most of them. Our healing capabilities are remarkable. But the psychological damage will last longer." Chen walked through the hospital. She saw what her people had become. Their enhanced bodies could heal injuries that would kill normal humans. But they still felt pain, still felt loss. That night she accessed the historical archives. She needed to remember, needed to understand what they had sacrificed to get here. The records showed the dark years. 50 years after the Gamma burst, humanity had been on the edge of extinction. Only a few 100,000 remained, scattered in underground shelters. The survivors had split into factions. The purists wanted to stay human, to rebuild slowly and naturally. The evolutionists believed genetic modification was the only way to survive. Civil war had nearly finished what the radiation started. Brother fought brother. Communities destroyed each other over ideology. Then Dr. Elena Vasquez had created the synthesis protocols. A compromise, controlled evolution, voluntary enhancement. Humanity could change, but slowly, carefully maintaining their core identity. Chen watched footage of the first volunteers. They had been brave, knowing the modifications might kill them. Many had died. The early experiments were crude, children born without consciousness, bodies that rejected their own cells, minds that could not handle the neural enhancements. But slowly, painfully, humanity had learned, had adapted, had survived. Now they were stronger, faster, smarter. But were they still human? Chen stood and walked to the viewing platform. Dawn was breaking over what remained of New Geneva. In the distance, repair crews were already at work. Bioconstruction teams growing new buildings, engineers restoring power grids. A message alert chimed. Ambassador Kier was requesting a private communication. Chen accepted. Kier appeared on the holographic display. "Commander Chen, I wanted to speak with you personally, Not as an ambassador, but as someone who wants to understand. Understand what? Whether you are still human. Whether what you have done to yourselves has changed you into something else entirely. Chen considered the question carefully. Our bodies are different. Our capabilities are enhanced. But our hearts are the same. We still love, still hope, still fear. She gestured to the hospital behind her. I just came from visiting the wounded. I saw families holding each other. Parents comforting children. Friends mourning friends. That is humanity, Ambassador. Not our DNA, not our abilities. Our capacity to care for each other. Kier was quiet for a moment. Tell me something, Commander. If you had the choice again, knowing what you know now, would you still do it? Would you still change yourselves? Chen did not hesitate. Yes, because the alternative was extinction. We sacrificed what we were to preserve who we are. We changed our flesh but kept our souls. But you have become something the galaxy fears. Let me tell you what really frightens them, Ambassador. It is not our weapons. It is not our modifications. It is that we did it alone. We needed no one. We built everything ourselves. We transformed from victims into survivors. She leaned forward. The Council is used to being in control, used to having answers, but we are proof that their rules are not universal, that there are other ways to survive, other paths to take. Kier nodded slowly. I understand. And I will tell you something, Commander. Not all of us in the Council agree with what was done. Many of us believe you have the right to exist as you choose, but not enough to stop another attack. No, not yet. The military faction is planning something larger. They will not accept defeat. Chen felt a chill. How long do we have? Weeks, maybe a month. They are assembling a coalition fleet, hundreds of ships from dozens of species. They will demand your complete surrender. And if we refuse? Kier looked sad. Then they will try to destroy you. Completely this time. They see you as a threat that must be eliminated. Chen stood silent for a moment, thinking, Thank you for the warning, Ambassador. We will be ready. After the communication ended, Chen called her military council. They had work to do. The next battle would decide everything. The coalition fleet was the largest military force assembled in 300 years. 1,000 warships from 15 different species. The Krogar provided the bulk of the force. The Zinthari contributed weapons. Dozens of smaller species sent ships to prove their loyalty. The fleet assembled at the edge of council space. Admiral Vorath, a Krogar veteran, commanded the entire force. He was old, experienced, ruthless. Vorath sent one final message to Earth. 30 days to surrender. Submit to council authority or face complete annihilation. No negotiation. No compromise. On Earth, Sarah Chen gathered the human leadership. Military commanders, scientists, engineers, representatives from every human settlement. We have two choices, she told them. We can fight knowing we might lose everything, or we can surrender and hope for mercy. The room was silent. Then an old woman stood. Dr. Elena Vasquez, creator of the synthesis protocols. She was 150 years old, kept alive by the same enhancements she had pioneered. We did not survive 300 years to surrender now. If we must fight, we fight. But perhaps there is a third option. What option? Chen asked. We show them why we are worth keeping alive. We offer them something they cannot refuse. And so humanity made a plan, a desperate gamble. They sent a message to the Council, not a message of war but of peace. An offer. Humanity would share its technology, medical treatments that could cure diseases plaguing Council species, bioengineering techniques for terraforming harsh worlds, sustainable energy systems, agricultural methods that could feed billions, everything except weapons. Everything except the modifications that made humans what they were. The offer split the Council. Many species were tempted. Humanity possessed technology that could improve countless lives. But the military faction remained committed. They had assembled their fleet. They would use it. 30 days passed. The coalition fleet entered Sol system. On Earth, every human prepared for war. Cities activated their defenses. Weapons platforms powered up. The fleet launched from orbital docks. But humanity had one more surprise. One final revelation. As the coalition fleet approached Mars, Earth itself came alive. The planet was not just inhabited. It was weaponized. 300 years of preparation had transformed Earth into a fortress. Energy weapons rose from the oceans. Gravitational generators in the polar regions activated. The atmosphere itself became a weapon, charged with defensive particles. Admiral Vorath stared at his sensors in disbelief. Every reading showed the same thing. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was a weapon system beyond anything he had imagined. The battle began. 1,000 ships against Earth and its defenders. For 6 hours, space around Earth burned with weapons fire. Ships exploded. Shields collapsed. Hundreds died on both sides, but humanity fought with desperation. They were defending their home, their survival, everything they had built. Then something unexpected happened. Ambassador Kier arrived with a fleet of her own. Not a war fleet. 50 ships carrying representatives from 20 species, all of them opposed to the war. They positioned themselves between Earth and the Coalition fleet, a living shield. Kier sent a broadcast to both sides. Enough. This war benefits no one. If humanity is destroyed for adapting to survive, what does that say about us? What precedent does it set? Other ships began to withdraw from the Coalition. First a few, then dozens. Species that had joined out of fear or obligation now reconsidered. The Coalition fractured. Some ships continued fighting. Others retreated. Still others held position, unwilling to attack but unable to leave. Admiral Vorath found himself commanding a shrinking fleet. His allies were abandoning him. His mission was failing. Then the Krogar flagship took a direct hit. Not from Earth, from a human ship that had slipped through the defenses. The ship was crippled, life support failing. Vorath and his crew faced certain death, but then human rescue ships approached. They offered aid, offered to save the very enemy trying to destroy them. Vorath could have refused. Could have died with honor. Instead, he accepted. Human medics came aboard his ship. They saved his crew, stabilized his vessel, all while the battle still raged around them. The fighting stopped. Both sides, exhausted and confused, ceased fire. Sarah Chen sent one final message. Not to the military commanders, but to every ship in both fleets. We are still human. We may look different. Our capabilities may have changed. But we remember who we are. We remember compassion, mercy, hope. She gestured to the rescued Krogar ship. We could have destroyed them, could have let them die, but that is not who we are. We fight when we must, but we save lives when we can. The message resonated across the galaxy. Here were beings who had transformed themselves, weaponized their world, defeated overwhelming forces. Yet they still showed mercy to their enemies. The war ended not with destruction, but with negotiation. Over the following months, treaties were signed. Humanity gained full recognition as a sovereign species. The Sol system was acknowledged as human territory. No council ship would enter without permission. In exchange, humanity agreed to restrictions on bioweapons. They would not develop genetic warfare agents, would not create planet-killing diseases, would not export their military technology. But the civilian technology they offered changed the galaxy. Medicines that extended lifespans, methods to clean polluted worlds, ways to grow food in hostile environments. 6 months after the war, Sarah Chen stood on a hillside overlooking the rebuilt New York. The city gleamed in the sunlight, organic towers reaching toward the sky. Her daughter joined her, a young woman of 20, born after the modifications became standard. She represented the new generation of humanity. Mother, was it worth it? Everything we gave up to survive? Chen put her arm around her daughter. Look around. We are here. We survived. We rebuilt. We changed, yes. But we are still human where it matters. In orbit above them, the first human exploration ship prepared to leave Sol system. For 300 years, humanity had been trapped. Now they were free to explore again. Not as conquerors, but as neighbors. The ship departed. Its destination, the nearest council world. Its mission, peaceful contact. They had thought Earth was gone. They had been wrong. Humanity had never left. They had just been waiting, preparing, becoming what they needed to be. And now, finally, they were ready to return to the stars.